Doom. Oh, man. Now, we're going to get into a handful of cartoons across different channels. But before we do this, I wanted to talk about this. Now, this replaced a lot of infomercials for ABC on Saturday mornings from actually 91. So I forgot to show this, but I did watch this more in 92. Now, I hadn't collected comic books yet. I was still into Nintendo and Super Nintendo, Game Boy, and you could tell by all this. So, so these were the days when you had two. Now, this was after Video Power, after Double Dare, and Finders Keepers, and those Nickelodeon type shows. And this was before, G4 TV. This was before um, Classic Game Room Sucka in 2000 with Mark Bussler. Definitely before YouTube, long before YouTube. And this is like one of those classic shows. Now, there was a huge problem. I mean, first they had these two co-hosts, right? Then they just had JD Roth all by himself, as you'll see here. It's like, we forgot all about Steve. Like, I used to think maybe he was too much of a stoner, but, I mean, that's the character. I mean, Steve Brennan became a big director, well, for a lot of independent movies. So he moved on with his life. And you can see a picture of him, like, in his, 60s or so, like. And then, worse came to worse. Then they got rid of the whole set and made JD Roth wear an even lousier suit. I mean, I like the Marty McFly outfit, and I like the co-host. And you didn't really need to get rid of the co-host. I mean, it was fine with those two really rocking the show on. Here he's just in front of a fucking green screen. It's like GamePro wanted to save money. Yeah, he's talking about the holographic arcade. I've only seen that arcade cocktail model once, where you would see these different holograms positioned around the board, I guess. Oh God, I wish I remember the name of it. I'm sure I'll find it on YouTube somewhere. I don't remember the name of it. If you remember the name of that holographic arcade game, not Mad Dog McCree. That's live video game, video game. That's another thing. But I remember seeing that at Knott's Berry Farm or Magic Mountain. I forgot. But if you remember the name of it, tell me, because I forgot. Oops. But yeah, this was the show. So just like GamePro magazine, you had secret weapons and tactics. You had like I don't want to say counselor's corner. You had kids who send in their pictures of themselves and what their high score was. I think they had to submit a photo, like a Polaroid, or a picture of them taking like their highest score on their TV, kind of like what you do in Nintendo Power, where you would submit your high score and what you did at the you got to the ending, and then you turn it in. Of course, people could just fake it nowadays, but back then everything had to be genuine. So let's say you get to the end of Dirty Harry, so you turn in your high score and you give it to the magazine company, and then they would put it up in their magazine or video or TV spot. But this was technically an infomercial. So they cut corners. They got rid of a lot of great segments where they gave away T-shirts to kids who had tips or who submitted great tips or who had questions to ask. Ask the pros. So they had a lot of different things. They asked the pros. They would have their bulletin where you could submit your high score. There was just different things. This was like the original. I know Video Power existed, but Video Power was either a cartoon or it was a game show. And this to me was the original gaming thing before Classic Game Room, before collieuk and his Inept Reviews, before a lot of modern gamers, before RGT85 and Review Fuck USA and Angry Joe and me. I mean, like this was it. So I enjoyed this so much. I really enjoyed it. So I'm not sure if I'll be copyright claimed for this, but it's GamePro. It's mostly showing games. So JD Roth's moved on to better things. Steve Brennan's still making movies, I think. I don't know. I think he did a couple of. There's a commercial he did for GamePro commercial, so he wasn't completely left out in the cold. It sucked. But I guess the whole Michelangelo personality wasn't going to work either. Okay, let's move on to cartoons. Yeah, so this is the arcade. I don't remember much about the cartoon, only that it was another knockoff of the Ninja Turtles. Just like, oh, these cows turn into people. See, we get an origin story, unlike the original Saturday morning cartoon. We had Street Sharks, Biker Mice from Mars, Samurai Pizza Cats. I don't really know, Troll Protectors. I don't remember. So, I mean, this is the arcade game from Konami. But I was going to say, yeah, GamePro TV lasted a few years, and they made a late 90s version, but that wasn't any good. But, yeah, I mean, there were a lot of different ones. I can't remember if there was, oh yeah, Calamity Jane was on the Kids WB when that debuted in 95. I'll cover the first year, and then I'll definitely cover the one with Superman, the animated series. But for now, we're looking at a little bit of Mesa. Oh my god. Now, if you remember Sunset Riders, this was like very much like Sunset Riders. I have that on my Switch, and I'm loving that one. But it's pretty much the same. It's the same fucking engine as fucking Sunset Riders. It's the same. Look at that. It's Sunset Riders. Except I don't think there's any prostitute cows. any, none of that stuff. Oh, look, there's no pretty girl to detonate the bomb for you. So, yeah. I remember very little of this. But, I mean, there were so many cartoons back in the 90s. And this is one of those things that, if you were a 90s kid, you probably remember it. Some people probably remember it better than I do. But, yeah, it's cartoon action. What's this guy? Who's this guy? This is the first time I'm actually watching footage from the arcade game. Oh, here's the boss. Bury me with my money. Yeah. But I mean, they had so many different cartoons that it hadn't gone full Disney yet. I don't think Moo Mesa's Disney, right? I don't think it is. But, yeah, they hadn't gone full Disney yet. But we would soon have the Saturday morning, one Saturday morning. All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, yeah. So this is from the Super Nintendo, Pugsley Scavenger Hunt. But I recently had watched episodes of The Addams Family. This was the final Hanna-Barbera cartoon to be on ABC, as far as I can tell. This is where Pugsley goes through the entire mansion and saves everyone, right? Yeah, he's going through the. It's like, I like that the mansion is it's a Metroidvania, but everything is a giant version of a room in the house. So, everybody remembers the original cartoon, the original show from '64, right? Everybody remembers Wednesday, and everybody remembers the CGI cartoon, and maybe the ones from Paramount with Barry Sonnenfeld directing, with Raul Julia as Gomez. But I think very few people remember the Fox Family one. But this was the one that, this was the second cartoon. I think there was an original cartoon with, what's his name? The original Uncle Fester. The original Uncle Fester did the voice. He was a child actor. And that's the child actor that his parents stole his money and shit. So, you have Coogan's Law. Jackie Coogan was the original Uncle Fester. And so they had a cartoon in the 70s, but for this one, it was the original, the voice actor for John Astin for Gomez. And everybody else were professional voice actors. I think Rip Taylor was Uncle Fester for this one. So it's kind of making money off of the 90s movies with Christina Ricci as Wednesday. And it's just exaggerated cartoons, much like Tiny Toons and Animaniacs. Ren and Stimpy, that kind of weird, exaggerated facial expression animation, which I liked a lot. You might be able to find some episodes online. I remember one time, one person said, how can they copyright block stuff they're not even making any money off of and putting out there? Which is kind of true. But, yeah, I like all the characters, Wednesday and Pugsley. Wednesday is more like the Christina Ricci character. Pugsley is Pugsley doing crazy shit. You have Thing, you got Lurch. I had the figures. Do you remember the toys from the Addams Family? You had every toy, but there were two left. There was Wednesday and Thing. Because there was a little Thing figure with each character, with Morticia and Gomez. But then there was a Thing figure separately that was like 5 inches long, right? And then there was the Wednesday figure. But those, and I think Cousin It. But those figures would not come out until coming soon. I don't even know if they ever did come out. I think they're hard to find. And I never got to see them. Anyway, so this is the game. I don't think I've ever played it. I have the NES version. But on to the next cartoon. What is that, Cats? Sounds like Cats. Looks like Super Mario World ripoff. I do remember the hip-hop kids of the 90s, right? This commercial, I remember. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. I just remember the rhythm. That's the original Reese's Pieces bag. Reese's Pieces. Oh my god. Epileptic seizure warning, because this screen is going off the rails. Yep. Cheesy macaroni. Yep. Oh my god. This is kind of living off of the late 80s commercials where they're just like weird music video kind of thing. I mean, Michael Jackson's Thriller kind of inspired a lot of weird 80s music videos, which inspired these kinds of commercials, you know? Yeah. Oh my god. I think I remember this. We can kind of skip over this. Now, the ABC Weekend Special was in its last years, and once one Saturday morning would start, this would be the end of it. They lasted a long time, from the 70s to the mid-90s. By the time I got out of high school, essentially, became an adult. Yeah, they ran this whole PSA here for a while. I mean, some of the PSAs I showed you, they still ran them through the 80s and 90s.
And now, here are scenes from the next ABC Weekend Special.
Yeah, they had a new, like, introduction. They still use Captain O.G. Reedmore.
Trapped in a strange underground world.
No, we've got you.
One way out.
We give up. We'll never get home.
The exciting conclusion, the secret world of Og.
I have no idea. These stories got weirder and weirder.
Tonight, the war of cat against mouse escalates on Capital Critters.
Oh yeah, I remember Capital Critters. That was like a late night show, like a primetime show, kind of like The Simpsons. You know, they tried new shows like Family Dog, not Family Guy, Family Dog, and they had just like different ones. Baby Blues had its own cartoon, like the comic strip characters like Garfield. I mean, before The Simpsons, I used to watch Garfield and Charlie Brown cartoons. They didn't just have Christmas specials and Halloween. They had specials of all kinds, and I used to watch a lot of them before many of you were probably born. So they were experimenting with different things. Dinosaurs lasted a while. Varskeletor Joel talked about the final episode. What a final episode that was. I don't know if this is the final year that Dinosaurs was on, but I know that they didn't survive the mid-90s. So something had happened. And a lot of things are ending. You know, you got the weekend specials ending. You got other things ending. Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo moved to Cartoon Network in 94. But this is the final year, I think, for a pup named Scooby-Doo. And then Don Messick would do Scooby-Doo's voice one last time in a special. And then he passed away. And oh, this is Hanna-Barbera. How about that?
It's an African adventure as young Indy goes on.
Oh, yeah. Indiana Jones Chronicles. Still better than the new movie, right?
There are nearly 58,000 miles of electric lines on Long Island, and storms and other damage that program to reduce outages and restore service faster. Through hard work and new technology, we've improved service reliability by 25%.
I don't see specials like this anymore. They try to get millennials to look cool doing this shit now.
Just give us a call.
Monday night at
That's when Alex Trebek was still alive. Yeah, this was Back to the Future cartoon. You had like Dan Castellaneta as Doc Brown, and then you had the different relatives of Biff. But as great as this cartoon, and the cartoon lasted like one season, I think. But there's this one, and then there was Raw Toonish. This was before ABC was owned by Disney. They had my favorite character was Marsupilami, that yellow thing right there, that like marsupial with the like 20-foot tail. They forgot all about him. I don't think he's even at the parade. I don't think he's even at the Walt Disney Resort. But this is the one I wanted to show you. Oh my god, what the fuck?
Hey, Bill, look at that. Okay, now, roll. Oh my God. Oh, stop licking me and tickling me. You're so cute. You're so cute. Yes, Dave?
What are you doing?
I'm playing with my new pet octopotamus packet. Ouch! The little guy bit me.
Aquarius, you know that's not a real pet, right?
Not real?
Amazing Live Sea Monkey Show. Now, I never bought the toy. I don't know if they're supposed to be real creatures or what it was. I think Jay Leno once talked about a sea monkey that came to life and screeched and ran around the house. I don't know what that's about. Overgrown bacteria, ugly fungus with arms and legs. I don't know what he was talking about. But that was a show that didn't last beyond a season. I still remember the scene where one is sad, one is heartbroken, one is devastated. I don't remember. These, like, this was the most cringiest live action or of any Saturday morning show I had ever seen. Ever. I mean, it was just bad. It was just so bad. I don't know what, they were just like, they're supposed to just act like clowns. It was just bonkers. It really, I mean, no pun intended to the Bonkers the Bobcat from Raw Toonage. Bonkers. No way. This show was just worse. I mean, you know, some people didn't like the way like Gamepro TV, like the people were condescending a bit, but at least it was better than Frost and her fucking rant. And I would say there are probably better shows than this. There are better shows than this. This was not a fun thing to watch. All right, all that's left are the Fox shows. Let's look at a couple of Fox shows. Now, I do remember the X-Men cartoon. I think of all the cartoons, they started out on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. They had that 1940s acting, but then they had a show in the 90s with the brown and yellow Wolverine, and that's when all the girls looked hot by Jim Ballant for like Wizard Magazine. But this was the best storylines, even better than Evolution. But I think more than that, I mean, I kind of like Spider-Man a little bit more, but we'll get into Spider-Man later. So here you have X-Men. And I do remember Bobby's World. Hey, Bobby! Yeah, Bobby was like the most naive kid ever, right? That's a Howie Mandel character. So they made like McDonald's toys, and he had the mom, don't you know? And all that stuff. I mean, it was alright. But the one cartoon I remember the most, this one I remember. Annabelle! You gotta save Annabelle! Yep. It never hurts to help. And I remember Eek the Cat's Captain Kirk impressions. Oh, we gotta show that shark dog. Eek the Cat. This is the aggravating Super Nintendo game. And let me show you I have a little treat for you all. Here it is. It is the shark dog. There is the shark dog. Look at that shark dog. Right there. So this is the aggravating Super Nintendo game, probably more aggravating than watching the cartoon. So you had Eek the Cat, you had the annoying family that was terribly drawn, and then you had Annabelle. Oh, I think you're supposed to guide Annabelle here, aren't you? Look like remember guiding Granny Adams? And you had the shark. And you also had the terrible thunder lizards, and I think a character made out of clothing that came to life. I forgot. There was like an Eek universe, a whole Eek universe. You had, I remember that one episode of the terrible thunder lizards with Mr. T. Thunder lizards, you know. Yeah, this game was terrible. You had to guide your characters, guide your friends through the entire level. It never hurts to help. And actually, I was looking back at these old cartoons, and this was how I met collieuk and his Inept Reviews. In fact, I'm gonna do a solid. I'm gonna actually put his Inept Review of Eek the Cat in my description, so you can find it. And yeah, what a great. This was a, you know, this game was not great, but the cartoon was funny. They just don't see humor in cartoons anymore. You don't see any cartoons. I mean, if there's any cartoons, it's not as good as it used to be. The 90s, like the 70s, they took a lot of fucking risks.
Kumbaya!
Yep, kumbaya, or it never hurts to help. Let's look at some commercials before we close out. I don't know what this is. It's another show that I don't remember. Crazy Joe's Warehouse. So those low budget commercials. You have to remember that Sit and Sleep was one of these kinds of commercials. Back in the 90s, when Larry Miller was starting out, like he had these kinds of commercials. Sealy, Serta, Chatham & Wells, and a great financing. And then he did his famous line, "Will beat anybody's advertised pricing your mattress is me." Right. And he had Al's Bedspread Kingdom. Ah, yes. This is one of Christopher Reeve's last contributions, standing up.
Humanity isn't a job for one superhero. It takes people like you and me. So I'm glad that there are organizations like Save the Children.
I mean, by the fourth movie, it just wasn't, nothing was really happening.
People help themselves.
I don't know what James Gunn is doing, and I don't care. I don't care right now. But I made a pledge I wasn't going to see that movie until it came out on home video. Or if, unless I get deterred from, by the reviews. What is this? CBS. Fido Dido? There was supposed to be a Fido Dido Super Nintendo game.
Space Police, the alien has landed. The alien? He's after the fruitiest cereal in Bedrock.
Not my delicious fruity pebbles.
You, check under the bed.
Yes, sir.
While I check out your fruity pebbles. Fruity full orange, lemon, lime, grape, and cherry.
Yikes! Dino, Barney, my pebbles.
This wild.
Those classic cartoons. Oh yes, I do remember this commercial. Yeah, she goes like negative 10 miles an hour. I wonder if Kate Quigley had one of these. I have a funny feeling she had one of these.
Baby Rollerblade, the doll with genuine rollerblade inline skates, only from Mattel. Batteries not included.
Oh my god. Yeah, there was supposed to be a Super Nintendo game with Fido Dido. I'll have to look it up. Alright, let's close this out. I hope you had as much fun watching this as I did putting it together. Hopefully I did not get copyright claimed. I had to skip around intros and credits and all that. It's not easy doing it. I was able to, I didn't even think about it until I started doing this to use video game screens. Because you didn't have video game versions of a lot of things back then. You had to use still pictures and stuff, but now I could do video game screens of your favorite cartoons. And they still had like weekday morning cartoons on Fox, like the Flintstones and Popeye and all that stuff, and Alvin and the Chipmunks, all reruns. And oh, what a different time that was when cartoons were everywhere. And once we headed into 2000s, it was going to be a whole different story. But you still had Bugs Bunny on ABC. Even when one Saturday morning, there were still different things. I didn't focus so much on certain ones because I changed the channel a lot. So that's what I was doing. I was just changing the channel, just trying to look at what's interesting to me. Starting high school was difficult, and it was a difficult time with my father breathing down my neck, being abusive, and that's about it. It's been a rough week. I'm going to a comedy event. Well, by the time you see this, I've already gone to it. So hopefully that works out. If you like this video, you know what to do. Please watch some more of my stuff. There's so many hours of material that I have on my channel. Scroll through those different ones. Whatever has got your eye, I've got thousands of videos there. Thousands of videos on my channel. There's something that must interest you. I'm trying to get monetized. I'm going to get a Cash App, whatever I have to do. I don't want to end. I want to keep on going. So if you want to keep on going with me, you know definitely what to do.